So I want to get started because we only have an hour and there's so much stuff to cover. Varouche, did you write some lyrics?
I've got like for the 4 beats we're talking about. The one I like is that my ship has arrived to take me away. So that's one. Like my ship has arrived to take me away. So that's one.
But did you write a second line to rhyme with each of those?
Is that the time has come to leave my home? Was that the second line? Or
well, you wanted to rhyme.
No, I didn't do that.
Oh, all right. The time has come to leave my home. Head straight at Naples, turn left at Rome. I don't know. We're going to want it for a binary structure.
Okay.
We're going to be talking about binary structure. Hey, Jane.
Yeah.
Did you write some lyrics, perchance?
Well, yeah. I mean, they're really simple, but
they can be just as basic as you want.
Some of my beats have no words.
Yes.
So the night was dark. The outlook very stark.
Nice.
Maybe take out very. Maybe the outlook stark. I don't know.
Whoa. Yeah, well, that is starker. Maya, did you happen to write some lyrics?
In a world of blue and gray, I pause and hear the rain make way. That's it.
That's lovely.
That's nice, yeah.
In a world of blue and gray, I pause and hear the rain make way. It's very, very lovely. Thank you. So one of the reasons I wanted you guys to do that little exercise is because I want to talk about melody this week. And melody is, in its most classic definition, I guess, a linear succession of musical tones that the listener perceives as a single entity. So you're able to remember a melody and give it a character. You even identify it. Oh, that's the tune. That's the melody of X song, right? And a good melody will stick with you that way. It has two main elements. It has pitch, so a sequence of pitches, and it has rhythm. And both of those are equally important. In fact, in many modern things that we call melodies, there's really not much in the way of pitch. There's a lot more rhythm. So that's the way it goes. But whatever is happening, it happens in what we call a musical key. And this is the first issue we come up with. What is a musical key? So if you think of all of the notes of a piano, and you play all of the white notes from C to C, I know Maya already knows all of this, you'll play a C major scale, and it has a particular form. The form is notes with one note in between and notes with no notes in between. The note with one note in between is called a tone, and the note with no notes in between is called a semitone. So if you look up all of the white notes from C to D, there's a note in between, so that's a tone. From D to E, there's a tone note in between, so that's a tone. From E to F, there's no note in between, so that's a semitone. And then F to G is a tone, G to A is a tone, A to B is a tone, and B to C is a semitone. So the shape we have there is tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. And that is the actual form of a major scale. So every major scale obeys those melodic rules. And I'm sorry that I have to just go over this so fast because there's just a ton of information here. The thing about a key is that if that's a major scale, there's also a minor scale, and usually we think of that as starting on the sixth note of a major scale and going up to the sixth note again. And that's a particular flavor of minor scale, and they're all. And so you hear mostly, like 99% of music, pop music you hear is either in a major or a minor key, and usually a major key. And I don't know if you remember from music studies or being a kid or whatever, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Right. So that is what we call the generic major scale. Every major scale starts on do, and it goes from do to do. And what I was saying about minor scale goes from la to la. So it's do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. But if it were minor, it would be la, ti, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la. Right. And these things even have other names, but I'm not going to get into it. So if we think of a melody happening in a major key, it means that all of the notes in that melody will be either do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, or do, unless it's modulating or there's some kind of exception. And there are tons of exceptions, of course, because there are hundreds of years of musical experience. So if we think of somewhere, a tune like "Somewhere Over the Rainbow," that melody is all in a major key, and it's do, do, ti, sol, la, ti, do, do, la, sol, right? So all of those have this one character. So the lovely thing about a major scale is that you can start it from any note, and depending on what note you start it in, it's going to be in a different key. And that's what takes us back to the whole concept of a melody being in a key. If your do is E flat, then it's, in order to get all of those tones and semitones in, you're going to have E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat, C, D flat, and E flat, right? D and E flat. And you would put those things in the key signature at the beginning of each line, and that would let people know, oh, this is a key with 3 flats, it must be E flat. If you make up a melody and you're looking around for what key it's in, more often than not, melodies end on do. As a matter of fact, probably 80% of the time, the last note of the melody will be your home key. I can't say 100% of the time because some people like to break the rules. But so, for example, somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land I've heard of once in a lullaby, and that is the note. That's the do, right? Starts and ends on do. So that also gives you a clue about how to write a melody. You're probably going to want to end it on do. Modern popular music are the ones starting on the first note of the scale. Oh, so, and that would be like do, mi, so, and the one starting on the fourth note of the scale, and the one starting on the fifth of the scale, right? So there's even a song to help you remember that. It was sung by Harry Belafonte, and it goes, Matilda, 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 she take me money and run Venezuela. So that's do, mi, so, fa, la, do, ti, so, re, do, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. Right? So if you're trying to remember what those very popular chords are, you can just sing Matilda to yourself. So in the key of C, you'll have a C chord, C, E, G. In the key of F, you'll have an F chord, F, A, C. In the key of G, you'll have a G chord, G, B, D. And so it's a good way to start off. Just find yourself those 3 keys and get familiar with them. They don't all have to be set up that way. I mean, you can play C, E, G, or you can also play E, G, C, or you can play G, C, E. As long as you have those 3 notes in any order, it's that chord. And talk a little bit more about the shape of melodies. Melodies are made up of what we call motives. And the motive is like the smallest structural unit possessing a thematic identity. So probably the most typical example is da 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 da. What tune is that?
Beethoven's Fifth Symphony.
Exactly. It's only 4 notes, right? But somehow it's identifiable enough that you can actually name the song as a result of it. How about da 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 da?
Okay.
Happy birthday, right? Here's another one. Ya da da. What's the tune?
Yesterday.
Right, yesterday.
Yesterday.
Right. It's just 3 notes. And yet somebody managed to nail those down and make them stick. When you identify that little motive, then you start to follow it through a melody and discover the way it works its way through. They repeat, they change, they echo one another. So, for example, the song I just sang, yesterday, da 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 da, ya da da. Right. So there's ya da da echoes da da da, and then there are these notes that climb up to it. Ya da 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 ya da da, and then it does it again. Ya da 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 da. Right. So it's the rhythm of the little motive that helps you identify those specific places. The other thing that happens with the motive, it will point toward what we call guide notes. That's places of rest in the melody that we really want people to listen to as being very important. So like ba da da, right, and that's like setting up that it's introducing the da, and then ba da 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 da. So that's the next little guide tone. Yeah, da 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 da. Right. So you want to set up those strong places in the melodies, so and lead up to them. In fact, Leonard Bernstein made a little exercise of coming up with a bunch of different melodies for West Side Story, each of which started with a different interval in the octave. For example, not many melodies start with a minor, what we call a minor seventh, which is like from fa mi do la, right? So that's there's a place for us. So that's from so to fa. The fa above it is a minor seventh. Or Maria, I just met a girl named Maria. That's a very odd interval. I think it's the only song I know of that actually starts with that interval, which is called dare I tell you? Called a Triticus Diabolus, the devil's tritone. Like I say, the most melodies are written stepwise. I'm gonna play you 2 songs, both of which, and then this is going to turn into an exercise. Each of them begins with a triad that is like do mi so. So this is a song called "Everybody Have Fun Tonight" by a band called Wang Chung. Okay, so now listen to that first line. I drive a. So that starts with do mi so, and then he carries on. I drive 1,000,000 miles to be with you tonight, right? And now here's another melody. This is another song by a group called Poison.
We both lie silently still in the dead of the night. Although we both lie close together, we feel miles apart inside. Okay,
so you notice so far he's only used 2 notes, right? That's do da me do 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 do, and then he repeats it, right? So and then he goes.
Was it something I said or something I did?
Right. So that there's the 3rd note in the triad. And do, do, so, 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 do, 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 right? So both of these melodies are using mi, do, mi, and so. The same thing you would hear, you hear the Three Stooges sing, hello, hello, hello. Or if you think of CEG or something like that. Now, what I want you guys to do is sing those notes with me, and then we're going to take your musical line and just use those notes to make music out of them. I mean, take your lyrics and make a little uh, melody out of them. So remember, here's the rules. You got to use those three notes, do, mi, and so, and they don't all have to be in the same order. It can be mi, so, do, or
Hey, Earl, like when you say do, mi, so basically the do, re, the re is left out. It jumps
yeah, we're
to,
not going to sing re or fa, just do, mi, or so.
okay.
So everyone sing do, mi, so, go. Do, mi, so. Okay, those are the three notes you get to choose from. And I want you to make up a melody to the lyrics. Here's another example of a melody that begins with a triad. Early one morning, just as the sun, right? Da, 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 da. So we get nya and nya and nya. What do you got?
It's like in a world of blue and gray, and it's just do 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 mi.
Okay.
A world of blue and gray, like that.
In a world of blue and gray. Yes. Hey, can I ask you, where would you put the strong beat?
In a world of blue and gray, probably the last.
Okay. So the in is what we call a pickup, right? In a world of blue and gray, like that.
Yeah.
Now, what was the second line of your lyrics?
I pause and hear the rain make way.
In a world of blue and gray, I pause and listen to the rain make way.
Sounds nice.
Once you have the idea of the motive, then all you have to do is make the rhythm of the words work with the motive, and then you have a melody. Hey, Jane, got any ideas?
We need a G. Give me a G.
G.
G. The night was dark. The outlook very stark.
Perfect. The night was dark. The outlook was stark. I would use the word was twice because it falls in the same place in the bar. Varouge, what do you think?
The time has come to leave my home. The second part is a little weak. I like.
Okay, but now you've already used up those three notes, so you don't even have to go that far.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
so is it like the time has come to leave my home?
Yeah,
Uh,
that's it.
so do mi do, right? So what you're doing is you're just taking the notes you decided on and applying the rhythms of the words to it. There's your melody. The reason people get lost in this creative process is, I think, so often is because the field is so open. There's so many different possibilities. Where do you start? So I think it's always good to limit your possibilities and work within those parameters. You'll still have many, many, many options. For example, Baruch, the line that you came up with, the time has come to leave my home. You could say some of those notes on some of those words on the same note. Like the time has come to leave my home. Right? And Keiko, tell me what you thought of.
Finally understood now what has drawn me upward.
I think you had a kind of a four rhythm, like finally understood now what has drawn me upward, right? And that's that's perfectly acceptable as a melody. The key thing there is to make sure that the rhythms of those lines are not too boring,
Yeah.
that they change a little bit, but you feel this steady pulse behind. I want to give you a little exercise in identifying guide tones in a melody. The tune I was thinking of is "Row, row, row your boat." Sing the melody, and then point out when you think that there's a really important note and not just a passing tone. Okay. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Okay, so the melody moves. It starts in one place and it moves to a different place. And it does this little journey and then it comes back and ends where it started. On Do, by the way. Row, row, row your boat. It's partly there. And then it's like taking a little rest stop, stopping for some gas. And then it repeats the note that it stopped on. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. So row, gen, and stream, right? And then on its way back, it goes merrily. Thus we have row, gen, stream, merrily. And then it repeats all of those notes coming back down. Merrily, 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 merrily. All of those resting places along the way. It revisits them on the way home.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like the melody itself is telling this little story.
Yeah.
And it's quite lovely that way. It's literally one of my favorite songs because it's also very philosophical. But anyway, yeah. So this is the other thing that melodies do. They start in one place and then they'll repeat higher and then repeat higher and then maybe repeat lower. And this is called a sequence where you take a little motif, you use it to build a melody out of little copies of itself.
Smile, though your heart is aching. Smile, even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you'll get by.
Right. Okay. So now let's look at that melody. Right. So that was ba da 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 da. There's your motif. Da, it goes up two notes and it comes back down 4. Ba da 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 da, and then it takes the same shape and moves it down. Da 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 da. Right. So that's a sequence. It makes another sequence. Ba da da da, and then moves. So there's your little motif. Ba da da da, and then moves it up two notes. Ba da 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 da, and it changes it, right? And then it does that whole sequence again. Ba da 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 da, right? And then it plays the same notes again. Only it changes them. Da 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 da, right? So it's a very clever melody in that way that it takes these simple motifs, it repeats them and changes them, and it gives the whole melody shape that way. Another example. Right, so that line is ba-da-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da, ba-da-da, right, and then he repeats it. People call, say beware, doll, you're bound to fall. You thought they were all kidding you. Right, so you can hear the strong guide tones in there. It's ba-da-da-da-da, ba-da-da, right, he really lands hard on that note, and he goes there twice. So it's almost like that's a really set up a simple example of a melody that's it just repeats and repeats and repeats until you get to this one place that it's aiming at again and again. I have more examples.
It's not the end of the world. No, not the end of the world. Throw in your fancy attire. Freeze in the fire. Don't lose hope. It's still feel no.
Okay. So she repeats it. So here's the motive, right? And she repeats it again. And then she half repeats it. So repeating a motif is, or a motive, is one of the most classic ways of writing melody. Quite often, people will use that to create binary structure. And what do I mean by binary structure? When you have two lines, and one is meant to be the beginning and the other is meant to be the ending, quite often you'll represent that musically by having a different ending at the end of the line. I have an example. Here's a song by Radiohead. An example of a motif that becomes a hook.
Two jumps in a week, bet you think that's pretty clever, don't you, boy?
Okay, so listen what they're doing there. 2 jumps in a week, I bet you think that's pretty clever. So that ba-da-da-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da, don't you, boy? Right, so it takes the same motif, repeats it, and then puts a little tag on it. And then it does the same thing again.
Flying on your motorcycle, watching all the ground beneath you drop.
Now, you notice the second time he does it, he ends on a different note. The first one is, don't you, boy? And the second one is, beneath you drop, which is especially nice because the word drop goes down, right? And so he's using the meaning of the words and representing them in the melody too. This is a question and an answer, effectively. Starts off.
2 jumps in a week, bet you think that's pretty clever, don't you, boy? Flying on your motorcycle, watching all the ground beneath you drop.
Now he does it again.
You kill yourself for recognition, you kill yourself to never ever stop. You broke another mirror, you're turning into something new enough.
All right. Now that takes him through the verses, right? Each verse consists of 4 repetitions of that little motif. There's 2 and a little ending, 2 and a different ending, and then there's 2 and another and ending A and 2 and ending B. And that's 2 verses. So that's a really classic kind of shape in a chorus. So that's what I mean by binary structure. You have an A ending and a B ending. He has this quite remarkable motif that is so recognizable that it's like ba da da da. It ends up being the hook of the whole song.
Don't leave me high, don't leave me dry, don't leave me high, don't leave me dry.
Right. So again, this is a very interesting thing. He does this. Don't leave me high. Those are 4 notes, totally recognizable. Anybody listening is going to those 4 notes is probably going to identify that song. It's a very, very well-known song. But you notice the first time it's just don't leave me high, and the second time it's don't leave me dry. He adds 2 notes to it. The third time it's the same as the first time. Don't leave me high. The fourth time, it's a completely different ending. Don't leave me dry. And he ends on do. It's a very classic kind of a formula for a melody. It's an A, and then an A variation, A, and A variation 2, right? So that gets us into talking about structure. So the whole thing about structure, it's the thing that really gives a song shape. Oh, by the way, forgot, I wrote some words. I'm going to add melody to them. I wrote, I want to wear my jeans. I like to eat my greens. And I'm going to use the 3 notes that I gave myself. I want to wear my jeans. I like to eat my greens. So, but I'm obeying all the rules, you know. I have a strong guide tone. I want to wear my jeans, so I'm heading toward jeans, and then I like to eat my greens is the other strong guide tone. And so in terms of overall shape, these kinds of considerations start to give you the basic shape of an overall melody, where you're repeating the motif and moving it around up and down. So right now, as a matter of fact, is to think of 4 notes and sing them to me. Make them sound interesting to yourself. They can be any 4 notes. It doesn't have to be do, re, mi, fa. Just whatever you like. 4 notes that sound interesting to you, and sing them back to me. And that's going to be the basis of your homework. Let's start with Maya.
Song. So this isn't original, but it's like ooh.
Do it again.
It's like ooh. I think it's just 2 notes.
Yeah. So, well, that just happens to be do do so mi. So you're sticking to the basis of our previous exercise, which is totally fine. So I could do 15 lessons on rhythms, right? But next week we're going to talk about harmony, and hopefully we'll get a little bit of rhythm work in there too. Okay, Varush, give me 4 notes.
I'm going to cheat. I've got a tune in my mind. I'm just going to use that as a.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Which words would that melody come from?
Drove my Chevy to the levee.
Drove my Chevy to the levee. Drove my Chevy to the levee. All right. I will let you get away with 8 notes. Those are your 8 notes. And then that's how you're going to remember them. Drove my Chevy to the levee. And you notice that the third of those notes has a rhythmic emphasis. Drove my Chevy to the levee, right? But da 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 da, right? So there's your little melodic fragment. Jane, what do you got?
Da, 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 da. No, I need a keyboard because I want the last note to be just 1 tone above the first note.
Oh. Da, da, da.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Maybe I don't want to do that. It
Da, 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 da. I like that. Da, 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 da. La, so, fa, ti. So, Keiko, sing me your 4 notes.
First about mi re sol las. Mi re sol la. The second one.
Mi re sol la. I want each of you to take the words that you wrote last week and apply these melodies. You apply your melody to the words and turn it into the beginning of a song. Okay.
Can we extend these little, because that's only 4 notes, we can extend that into something else, right?
Absolutely. Sure. You might have to write more words. Heaven forbid. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk to you about is just how songs are structured with melodies, okay? So we've talked about how a motif goes up to make a melodic fragment. The melodic fragments, they alter, their endings alter, they move up, down, they move down, they repeat, whatever. And then you get a verse. And then the verse repeats. And a very, very typical thing that will happen at the end of that is that somebody will come up with a completely different piece of music, either, as in the case of Radiohead, a chorus, or what we call a bridge, or a pre-chorus. Oh, right, here's a good example. There's a song called Into the Mystic, which I'm particularly fond of, by Van Morrison. Oh, by the way, this is something you'll frequently see at the beginning of songs too, is this instrumental introduction. Boringly, usually it's 8 bars or 4 bars.
We were born before the wind, also younger than the sun.
Okay, so the typical thing, he makes up a melodic fragment. We were born before the wind, and then he repeats that musically. Also younger than the sun, with different words, right? And then
Yeah, the bonnie boat was one as we sail into the mystic.
right. And the bonnie boat was one. There's the guide tone. And the bonnie boat was one, right? As we sailed. So that place that he goes to, he starts out. We were born before the wind, also younger the sun, and the bonnie boat was one. So he emphasizes that note 3 times. It's the most important note in the whole section, and that is one verse, right? Now he does the whole thing again.
Oh, I can now hear the sailors cry, smell the sea and feel the sky.
Here's the second part.
Let your soul and spirit fly into the mystic.
Right? Okay, so that's verse 1, verse 2. So that's like A. And now here's the pre-chorus.
And where that foghorn blows, I will be coming home.
Right? So that's the first phrase of what I call the pre-chorus. When that foghorn blows, I will be coming home. Right? And now here's the same thing with the second ending.
Yeah, when the foghorn blows, I wanna hear it. I don't have to fear it.
Okay, so that's it. He uses that whole little section, that repeating musical fragment, first and second ending, to lead into the chorus. And here's the chorus.
Have to fear it. Just like way back in the days of old. And magnificently we will fold into the mystic.
Right, and that's the chorus. And so now we've had an A, and then the pre-chorus, and then the chorus. And now it's time for an instrumental. Interestingly, the rest of the song is just a repetition of what's already happened. And we're about a little over halfway through. All of the musical content of the song has already been put out. The rest of it is just more of the same. But what I'm going to do now is copy some links for you in the chat. And I'm inviting you to go check them out yourself. There's a lot of great material on the net. Copy those down for yourselves. And check it out. And we are done.